Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope it was a fantastic 4th of July weekend for everyone. I am interrupting the beginning of Shark Week to bring you this breaking news. Okay, well, it's not breaking because I think it was actually from this morning, which is interesting. But ESPN, it's really kind of sad how far ESPN has fallen. I don't know what they're going to do when that sweet, sweet cable money dries up that allows them to stay in business without even having anyone watch their shows, because that's going to change because the talent level, there just isn't any at ESPN anymore. And here's another example of that. This is Carolyn Peck, although I guess we could call her Monica McNutt. I don't think there would be any difference. So they're talking about this rookie of the year. So I'm going to play a couple of short clips that is very interesting. So here is she's asked the question about Rookie of the Year, and I'm going to go give you the beginning of her answer here, and then take you to something else absolutely fascinating that she said.
But when you look at where the teams are, and I also went a little deeper and I looked at plus minus and I also look at net rating. And when you look at that, Angel Reese has to get the nod. Now I know it's not a popular position to take because Angel Reese has to do the dirty work. I have said it's not sexy to have to battle and rebound inside and where you've got to do the blue collar work. But this
Wow. Okay, so let's start with that. First of all, the standings have changed, by the way. So I'm curious, Carolyn and Monica, now that the Fever are ahead of the Chicago Sky in the standings, are you going to come out on ESPN on these shows and say that Caitlin Clark is the rookie of the year? By the way, for those who don't know what Carolyn Peck is, she has been one of those blatantly anti Caitlin Clark people all the time, constantly twisting herself into knots in order to not have to say good things about Caitlin Clark. But and here's another thing I want to get to because I'm gonna play. Well, the sound's not great, but I'm gonna give you a quote from Kennedy Carter, Angel Reese's teammate, who also mentions the work that she's done. Has anyone noticed that all of a sudden that now everyone is talking about the hard work and the dirty work that Angel Reese does, and that's why she's rookie of the year? If that were the case, I would have been a Hall of Fame NBA player because I worked extremely hard, but guess what? I didn't have the talent. They should all be working hard. You're going to tell me Caitlin Clark doesn't work hard? Caitlin Clark doesn't do the dirty work? Caitlin Clark does everything. Caitlin Clark does all the work. Caitlin Clark goes to the office 80 hours a week and still cooks and cleans and everything else. Oh my goodness. All right, we got one other clip at the end because this is really crazy. So pay attention to this because it's the last thing that she says, and we're going to dig into this a little bit more.
she has to also score the basketball. That's tough. She has to know when and where, but she's playing around the perimeter. And I'm a little biased to the post game because of the work you have to do inside. You're a little freer when you play on the perimeter.
Wow, did anyone catch that? You have to do the hard work in the inside. You're a little freer when you play on the perimeter. Tell that to Steph Curry. Wow, I mean that is, and like I said, she'll twist herself into knots. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Freer. We're talking about Caitlin Clark, who is face guarded 94 feet. This is the player whom her opponent, in between her own free throws, went and guarded Caitlin Clark. She was so focused and fixated on getting in Caitlin Clark's face that she still had another free throw that she completely forgot about because she had to go guard Caitlin Clark. She's double teamed, sometimes triple teamed. She draws the other team's best defender. She gets blitzed more than twice as much as the next most blitzed player in the WNBA. There's nothing free about Caitlin Clark out on the perimeter. And by the way, I would argue with the modern game and how fixated it is on the 3-point shot, there's a lot more space underneath the basket. Not to mention, Reese is barely guarded if she gets more than 3.5 feet away from the basket. They don't bother picking it up because she's not going to make the shots. Absolutely ridiculous. And to my point about the work thing, see, we'll go. This is Kennedy Carter. Now, for some reason, the volume on this particular audio is like crazy low. I turned it up, recorded it, played it back, still couldn't hear it. But the whole quote is here. She's asked about Rookie of the Year, Kennedy Carter, and she says, Barbie's Rookie of the Year. You know, me too, Barbie. You're all watching for me. Barbie's Rookie of the Year. There's no other way to put it, Carter said. She goes out, she does her work every single night. There you go with the work again, right? No matter what team we're facing, I'm telling you, Barbie's Rookie of the Year for sure. Now, interestingly enough, that's throwing some shade at Caitlin Clark because that's something that's been talked about, that she's had some, what some people would call some off games. Of course, one of her off games was 13 points, 11 assists, and 6 rebounds. I don't know how off that is, but right. And then there were excuses when she had that 30-point game, which I think she's had two of those, hasn't she? Oh, well, it was just against the Mystics. Interestingly enough, Kennedy Carter said this, what, the very last game. This was not that long ago. No matter what team we're facing, and and then the Indiana Fever went out and beat the New York Liberty, the team with the best record in the WNBA, and Caitlin Clark had a triple double, triple double. Yeah, okay. Um, Caitlin Clark has the most points and assists when you combine them. She has more combined points and assists than anyone in the WNBA, 713. Let's talk about her last 5 games. 15.8 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, 11.2 assists per game. That's her last 5 games. Now, let's put something else in perspective with those stats. Chelsea Gray, and I mentioned this in my MVP video that I love. Some people, like, their brains melt when I start talking MVP. But again, I always say in the conversation, not saying she's the MVP. Chelsea Gray was the point guard of the WNBA last year. She finished 7th in the MVP voting. She made the all WNBA first team. She had a stat line of 15.3 points, 4 rebounds, 7.3 assists. Caitlin Clark, currently this season, 16.1 points, better. 6 rebounds, better. 7.4 assists, better. So it is absolutely ridiculous. Seriously, this is, to me, this is embarrassing for ESPN that they keep giving a platform to people who talk like this, because it's clear that they're there to put down Caitlin Clark or support Angel Reese and not actually do any basketball analysis whatsoever. None. And again, I go back to this, what I just said before. This season, there have been 129 points and rebounds, double doubles, only 19 points and assists, double doubles. Caitlin, I think, has 4 of those. 3 triple doubles, of which Caitlin has 1, of course. Now, I want to point out a couple things a little lighter on this, but on the same topic. Tammy Figbenley earlier, light work from my Rookie of the Year. That was post New York Liberty game. So she has a slightly different opinion. And then this we're going to get to. I just thought this was funny. This is Aaliyah Boston, who is going to have a movie, and this is going to be her catchphrase. This is Aaliyah Boston reacting to the reporter talking about Caitlin Clark's triple double.
You're the first Fever player to ever get a triple double in franchise history. Congratulations.
I don't have no idea what that is, but it made me laugh. And to that point, by the way, everybody else in the WNBA, take a look at 22-year-old Aaliyah Boston. Look how she is handling all this. And I promise you, if you model yourself after her, you're going to get a lot more of these Caitlin Clark fans to stay and be WNBA fans than you will by doing what you're doing now. ESPN, you need to fire a lot of people. You need to make changes. I know you're owned by a huge mega corporation called Disney, but they've got a lot of problems on their own. I mean, they lost like $1 billion last year on their movie releases. Fewer and fewer people have cable. You're not going to continue to get that $7 a month per cable subscriber where you can get fat on all that cash without ever having to have people watch your shows. They need to watch your shows. You're getting replaced by people like me. Which, by the way, shout out to everyone who's watching these and liking and subscribing and commenting. It's crazy. It's crazy. It really is. But I love it. I'm going to leave it there. I just wanted to finish up with something lighter, but I had to do a video on this. I've got to get back to Shark Week. I have my priorities. But please like, subscribe, all that great stuff if you're enjoying the content. And I will talk to you later.